Salve people of the universe, my name is Lord Salvador Emarain, and today we're going to be talking about why immigration has really become a problem in Europe. Well, Europe is, of course, a very welcoming continent to many people. My father came here from Indonesia at a very, very young age. But the problem that I have is that people should be able to adapt to the surroundings, especially the law and their culture. And if they don't want to do that, I think then they should, get rid. Especially if it's like a violent thing. Now lately, because of the Qatar things that have been happening, like the football things, or soccer as some people call it, there's been a lot of riots throughout Europe, in Germany, Paris, Belgium, the Netherlands. And it really angers me. And in Germany recently, 2 girls were stabbed by an Eritrean. Now, if you don't know what Eritrea is, Eritrea is a country in Africa that has been very violent. It has a history of where the government wanted everyone to be trained into the military. Everyone had to be the military, or, they just weren't allowed to do anything else, basically. And that led to, the destruction of the brain. There aren't many smart people in Eritrea, and because they want to escape the political situation, they often come to other countries, like the ones in Europe. Now, I have people in my family who have worked closely with refugees, and not all refugees are bad, let me get that very straight, but they are too much of a risk factor, if you ask me. I think it's very important that we understand that we understand that we're not hating against everyone, but we're hitting against certain ideals. But there are certain groups who have ideals that are very dangerous, like communists and Sharia Muslims. Those are all very dangerous people. But especially when you mix them with other cultures, because that's when you get terrorism, that's when you get fights and stuff like that. So it would be better to have like an Islamic empire somewhere else and reunite as Europe, because immigration currently in Europe has led to too many conflicts. We had the Cologne New Year's issue. We had the constant threats we had the Paris bombings. These are just some examples, and it's really sad, because it would have been nicer if immigration could work. But there's a natural psychological reason why people have this hatred for other races, other cultures, other rules, and that's because they don't like being displaced. People do not like having to adapt to something new. And this is a real problem in society that is not being addressed enough on a governmental level, because it's a psychological issue, really, when you think about it. Alright, so how do I propose that we solve this? Well, first of all, close all the immigration things for now, right? Just stop immigration in Europe, especially in Germany, France, Belgium, the Netherlands, Italy. Stop all the immigration for one moment. All the immigration from dangerous countries, so like Muslim countries or African countries that are really poor because they have less structure, because they don't have the money to do it, or they have potential of having Sharia thoughts, so close up any potentially dangerous country from having immigration into Europe. Of course, I would want the democratic revolution, which brings me to the next thing to say, which is recently in Germany there's been an attempt at a coup by an old prince, an old parliamenter, and there were a bunch of other people too, especially from the old army. Some of these were neo-Nazis, and I don't appreciate neo-Nazis, but I also know there's people in there who actually just want a reunited German Empire, which makes sense in a way. I think that a lot of those sentiments are sentiments that Gemtocrats and Gemtocratians tend to share, which is that Europe must unite. There must be a bigger, a larger, stronger power in Europe. And I do think that should be Germany, because Germany has already so much history and has also already, it's one of the largest countries. I think Germany should be the center of Europe, and I think that France, Denmark, Italy, we should all, you know, unite with Germany in that sense into this gemtocratic empire. But it's really, it becomes really iffy, because a lot of these people have these radical ideas where they want to like set things on fire, torture people, stuff like that. So it's like, yeah, I get why they're frustrated with everything going on, with the fact that the country is being torn apart. There are too many liberals in Europe. I mean, that's just a fact. But the problem becomes really when they go into territories that are also bad, which are, of course, where when you do a revolution, I've always been of this idea that a revolution should always be with very clear strikes. You strike against your enemy in specific points. I don't like the rioting idea. I don't like the idea of just going and rioting until we get what we want. No, that's bad. No protesting. No protesting, just precise strikes. Kill the people who are in the way, get rid of them, or, I don't know, threaten them, blackmail them, whatever. But do it in a way that doesn't damage integrity. Do it to the actual guilty people. So, for example, if there's a guy, like in the Netherlands here we have had this problem where people went to the homes of ministers and stuff. And I don't agree with that, because there's other people living in those homes too, their children and husbands and wives. And they have nothing to do with it. And they feel threatened, and I think that that's a whole different story. If a minister feels threatened, that's one thing, right? But threatening children or the family members, that's a whole nother story. Precise strikes only. That's my sentiment. So I hope that if any of those people are watching that are like, we want to have a bigger Germany, or we want to have a reunification or less liberals, then I want to say, yes, but also consider that your actions may actually lead to the opposite of what you want. And I think that what you should really account for is that if you want to make a positive change, you can't neglect your own values for it. You need to have strong values, but that also means not doing terrible things, like threatening children. You can say, oh, the end justifies the means, and in some cases that's true, but sometimes the end is part of the means. And I think that that's where integrity comes in. And that's like, for example, if I want the end to be that everyone has integrity, right, then my integrity would say, okay, so I can't break my own integrity, so I can't break my own rules then. So that becomes a very strict line to not cross, basically. So, immigration is a problem right now. There's even immigrants that have to like sleep on grounds outside because there's just no space. So I think we need to shut that down for now. We need to get our revolutions together, and we need to unite Europe, and then we can see forward from there what we're gonna do, how we're gonna handle things. But I want to make one thing very clear as well before we end this video. If you want to support Gemtocracy, put a link to our Discord server or our YouTube channel, and all hail to the rebel in any of your statuses on any social media you have, because we need more exposure. Gemtocracy is the future. It's a lifestyle. It's not just politics, okay? It's not just politics. It's a lifestyle, it's history, it's philosophy, it's an ideology. It's a way to live. And anyone that supports us, please share this with as many people as you can. Let them know that there is a way to go about this that might not be as violent, but more precise. And let's hope we get to unite Europe and have more peace and be a stronger unification within this world, so that we don't get tugged between Russia, China, and America all the time. So, anyway, thank you for watching. Leave a like, subscribe, and all hail to the rebel!